A lot of times we see this really common misconception amongst people that employee satisfaction itself is employee engagement. But that's not really true. It's just a subset of employee engagement. Employee satisfaction is a very reactive measure. You give them resources, you give them feedback, and they will probably be satisfied with it. But engagement is not something reactive. It's quite proactive. Instead, it's an entire system on its own. It's what really drives employees to go above and beyond to reach their own strategic goals and to contribute towards the company. So, how do we go about explaining engagement? Think of your company like a football team, right? Do you guys follow football? Do you ever watch any of these players and think, I could easily make that goal if I didn't have that one injury when I was, 15 years old? Now, I know we've all had that thought at some point, but I think we're severely underestimating just how much effort goes on behind the scenes for any team player to actually achieve a goal, right? So, for any football player, for example, you need to maintain their nutrition consistently. They need to maintain their diet consistently. They need to be practicing the sport on a daily basis. They need to have above and beyond all the motivation to do everything consistently, right? So how do you go about maintaining that? Let's take even Messi, for example, right? He's supposed to be the biggest player and the huge contributor towards Argentina team's success. But do you think that Messi could go about and excel to that level if Argentina's team and management was not backing him with the right resources, the right support, and the right motivation and drive to go forward and meet his goals, right? Pun intended. That is the real question. So, incidentally, like I've mentioned, a company or an organization is also exactly like a football team. And just like in a football team, the coaches are the biggest driving factors behind the team's success. Similarly, the HR and business leaders are also the driving factors behind the team's success. They guide the game, they guide the team players, they nurture their individual strengths, and they set a common strategy towards which all the players are working, right? And how do they go about doing that? How do coaches go about doing that? It starts with, first and foremost, aligning the entire team to a common goal, right? So in case of a football team, the coach might be trying to push the agenda of, aim for the World Cup. And that's exactly how, even within an organization, the leadership team has to set the strategy. So, say, for example, inside an organization, you're aiming for a strategic goal, you're launching a product, and you're hoping to meet a $50 million market within the first year of its launch. How many teams are actually going to work on that? You have the product team, the marketing team, sales reps, customer success, they're all contributing towards it. And every single one of these individual employees from various teams have their own strengths, their own passions, their own dreams, and their own particular skill sets. Now, it is the leadership team's responsibility to identify exactly which employee can be used for what skill and to completely enhance that particular skill set, drive them to their highest potential, and use it for the betterment of not just the company, but also for their personal growth. And when employees feel like the company actually cares about their personal growth, they will also go above and beyond to try to achieve the company's goal. This is exactly what alignment feels like. And an engaged organization basically holds the glue of a properly aligned company strategy, right? But it doesn't stop there. Coaches work all year long to make sure that their teams win. Similarly, even HR and business leaders have to work all year long to make sure that their organization's success is not just a one-time initiative, but something that keeps increasing on a consistent manner. So how do they do that? First, they gauge the pulse of the organization. Before any kind of major initiative is taken place inside the organization, they need to know exactly where all the employees stand, right? So to start with, they can send out surveys, they can gather feedback, they can run regular check-ins with the employees and understand how aligned they feel with the company's goals. Are they getting enough resources? Are they getting enough feedback? Do they feel like their particular skill set is aligned with their job role? These are really important factors that have to be measured. And after gathering these insights, you can make use of really revolutionizing technology for that as well. You don't have to go and take feedback individually from particular people or run surveys that much. Now with AI, you have the capability to gather bulk feedback, to analyze trends, to find out sentiments, and to understand the exact themes that are occurring within your organization and take action in bulk by strategically deciding what to do. And that strategy is what will help you plan a continuous regime. Now, when I say a continuous regime, it has to be a systematic approach of how you're going to handle uh, the engagement within your organization, right? So, for example, you need to understand exactly what resources your employees need, what tools they need, how can you help them to improve the skills that they currently have. And all of these will be part of your continuous regime. And while this is happening, you need to make sure that every employee also feels motivated to keep contributing towards their goals. Maintaining morale is really important, and that happens when the organization's leaders keep celebrating every milestone they reach. Now, take the example that we were talking about. You're launching a product. How many steps go into that process, right? You're going to have designs, a million iterations of those designs, but when it finally gets approved, it is a milestone, right? When the sales team finally closes the first deal, that is also a milestone. These are things that create momentum within the organization, and these are causes of celebration. Now, if these milestones were ignored by leadership teams, it might cause demotivation. It might even make the employees feel like, I've done so much, but my contribution is not completely being valued. So this is a sentiment that we need to avoid. And as much as possible, we need to keep making sure that the employees feel motivated. And fourth and final step. Now, even within product teams, when they are working on their feature roadmap, they will compare it with other competitors to understand what kind of strategic items they should be working on that will help them gain more revenue, right? Similarly, HR and business leaders can also compare their own internal practices that you are running for maintaining or even improving engagement with other industry practices amongst your competitor companies as well. So when you keep a track of all the strategic practices that are happening outside, you will also understand what kind of measurable outcomes are coming out of that you can clearly see in their business model, and maybe even take a few steps to do that in your own organization. So this is how we can talk about engagement on an organizational level.